Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us
going to
a
give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir. I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Our radio show airs out of the People's Republic of Ann Arbor every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. You can stream it live and free by going to davejanda.com on Sundays from 2 to 5 Eastern and hitting the Listen Live button near the top of the homepage. We also have a tremendous amount of free public content at davejanda.com that's uploaded on a near daily basis. But where the real meat of the matter is on our subscription side, which is a mere 30 cents a day, $9 a month for priceless content. You can sign up for a month and then let it go. But I don't know why you would let it go. If you'd let it go, you'd be letting go of a life preserver that's keeping you adrift in this deep state sea of chaos. See, our goal is not just to keep you afloat, but get you to shore. I think if you talk to our subscribers, they'll tell you that's exactly what we do on a daily basis with the in-depth subscription side of the platform. Content I cannot discuss on any social media platform. I cannot discuss on the radio because of the choke points of the deep state that are still impregnated in all of the above. But they're not one is there at davejanda.com. Censorship free. And always ahead of the curve. Today's presentation is on the cult's debt, D-E-B-T, and looting operation. And that's exactly what it is. They want you to think that financial markets are free and fair. And they're not free, and they sure aren't fair. And they're there to benefit the bankster group. Yeah, those criminal and national bankers. Let me take you back in time. The 20th President of the United States, James Garfield, said the following. Quote, "Whoever controls the volume of money in our country is absolute master of all industry and commerce. When you realize that the entire system is very easily controlled one way or another by a few powerful men at the top, you will not have to be told how periods of inflation, sound familiar, and depression, also sound familiar, originate." End quote. James Garfield, 20th President of the United States. But not for long. What? Yeah, soon after Garfield made that statement, guess what happened to him? Bing, bing, bing. He was assassinated. It's interesting. You know, history doesn't exactly repeat itself. But as my mom, the history teacher, used to say, it surely does rhyme. 1963, November, Kennedy. There were a number of entities of why he was targeted, but one of which is he had spoken about the fact that he was going to remove the money printing capabilities of the international bankers that took over the money printing operation in our country in 1913, thanks to the globalist Woodrow Wilson and a complicit Congress in the dead of the night when they voted on it on Christmas Eve, handing over the money printing capabilities of the United States Treasury to a group of international bankers that only allowed allegiance to themselves and the banking community back in 1913. And Kennedy, 50 years later, had spoken about taking that money printing capability, bringing it back to the U.S. Treasury, and having actually the dollars backed by silver. That wasn't the sole reason, but it was one of them that led to that fateful open limo car ride into a canyon called Dealey Plaza in Dallas. See, it would have hindered the cult's money laundering and looting operation, just as Garfield had pointed out. And the way they can perpetuate their money laundering, looting operation is by, and through the use, through their tentacle in the bought-off lamestream fake media of propaganda. Read that as misinformation, disinformation, and outright gaslighting, lying to you. They're pretty good at it. Well, they've had a lot of years, right? They've had over 100 years to perfect their looting, laundering operation, right? So let me give you a quick example. We recently had the unemployment numbers delivered through the Bureau of Labor Statistics, through the Department of Labor. Headline, December payrolls unexpectedly surge. Really? Oh, yeah. So they were expecting about 100. So this is in the establishment survey. There's an establishment survey where they go around to some businesses and say, so what's employment looking like here? Give us some numbers. Of note, a large number of businesses have refused to be involved any longer because they see the numbers laundering operation that's occurring, and they don't want to be involved. There's also the household survey where they go to households. So in this establishment survey where they go to places of employment, they're expecting recently 175,000 new jobs created. It's kind of hard to believe if you drive by your local mall or through your town, right, with all those closed shops and stores, right? Well, they were expecting 175,000. Number came in, hot, 216,000 jobs. When you dissect it out, though, 52,000, in other words, a quarter of those jobs were increase in government employment. Oh. Then, every month, they do adjustments. And it just so happens that the adjustments always don't go up, go down by a huge amount. They adjusted the month before down 26,000 jobs. The month before that, down 45,000 jobs, where they already had adjustments. And then when you dig through the numbers of this great employment number that they want you to believe that the economy's fine, the number of people not in the labor force, not in the labor force, increased by 845,000. 845,000 more people were outside of the labor force. And the vast majority of these jobs were either part-time or people that had to have multiple jobs to try to get to full-time. Because when they looked at the household survey, it showed actually a decrease when they go from household to household. A decrease in jobs, but they never talk about this number. When you watch Stuart Farney on Fox Business News and Maria Bartiromo and all those dweebs on CNBS, or what some people still call CNBC, or see it reported in the Wall Street Journal, they don't talk about the household survey that showed that there were 683,000 fewer jobs in the month. But they want you to believe there were 216,000 more. Wait, what? Yeah, they're not going to talk about that number. Or how about this as a shocker? The number of full-time jobs, when you dig through the numbers, actually went down by 1.5 million in 1 month. Maybe it explains why when individual businesses are reporting their business activity, U.S. bankruptcies through the Epoch Times, U.S. bankruptcies jump 18% in 2023. As we have continually pointed out over 13 years in the radio, what's going to bring the system to its knees is debt, D-E-B-T. The United States debt, just after the first of the year, hit a record. Over $34 trillion, with a T, $34 trillion. That does not include unfunded mandates and liabilities, like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. $34 trillion. If you add all that other in, you're looking at about $200 trillion. The manufacturing index is now contracted for 14 straight months. Jim Quinn, political analyst and a bit of a financial analyst, said the following. Looking at 2024 from the debt, DEBT side, now remember, if you have a debt to gross domestic product, how much your economy is producing, products and services, if your debt is 60-70% of what you're producing, you got problems. But once you get over 80%, look out. And 100%, you're at Banana Republic levels. From Jim Quinn, the only major global power without a large debt problem, is what? Where? Russia. It's 30% of debt to GDP ratio. Well, what's the European Union's? 90%. Oh. What's China's? 80%. Ooh. Well, the United States has to be pretty good. I mean, 100% is Banana Republic, so we're not. No, United States debt to GDP ratio is 120%. One more time, 120%. This is what Quinn says. These debt levels and the domestic implications of unsustainable economies will lead shamelessly corrupt politicians to provoke foreign conflict in order to distract their populations from their dire economic circumstances. A wag the dog type false flag is just around the corner. And add this to this steaming pile of refuse that we call our economy that's on fire. See, many people say, well, cash is king and it's safe at the banks. I've outlined this before. If you go to the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation website, remember, my bank account is protected. Really? Because when you go to the FDIC website, they are backstopping $17 trillion, with a T, $17 trillion in deposits in banks across our country. So when you go to the FDIC website, and you got to dig deep, but when you dig deep, you know what you find? Because you want to see, well, what are the reserves of the FDIC? How much? They obviously have to have more than $17 trillion if they're backstopping all these deposits. So what do they got? 18 trillion, 19 trillion? No, they have 125 billion. What? Yeah. 17 trillion is $17,000 billion, and they only have $125 billion to backstop it. But if you think you're protected, then, well, you're not going to worry. You're not going to do something to protect yourself, right? That's just the way they want it. Because the more people that become destitute, the more people that become dependent on the very people that have looted and laundered the system into their own pockets. In addition to debt, there is another weapon of mass financial destruction called derivatives. They are essentially bets on a market going up or down, or a commodity going up or down, or interest rates going up or down. They're bets. They're called derivatives. Are you aware? 3 Wall Street megabanks hold 157 trillion with a T dollars in these derivatives, in these bets. And if they go south on these bets, what's going to happen? Well, you know what's going to happen. What happened in 2008, 2009, right? The government, we have a real problem here, and we're going to have to put the country further debt, and we're going to have to increase taxes to get the money to help these poor benevolent banks. Yeah, right. And they want you to believe it's an accident. It's a coincidence. It's well, there was just a little incompetence. Little? No. This is all purposeful. It's all willful. Jim Quinn said the following: "It isn't an accident or a coincidence. A man-made, banker-created economic disaster ignited this powder keg of debt in 2008. And the solutions rolled out by the ruling elite since have been designed to extend, pretend, and bend the minds of the masses while fostering the perpetual pillaging campaign by the billionaire oligarchs who really run this world. The plebes, all of us, have been destroyed by the relentless inflation purposefully created by the Federal Reserve." Remember, Federal Reserve. It has federal in it, but it's not part of the legislative, judicial, or executive branches. Just like Federal Express isn't a part of the Fed. It's great marketing, but it has nothing to, right? No. But they want you to believe it's part. It's secure. It's, see, you're protected. No. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 out of thin air, as I mentioned earlier. And it's a banking cartel of independent bankers who are not looking out for you or a country or the dollar. Because, hey, if they were, the purchasing power of the United States dollar from 1913 to today is 99% less than it was in 1913. That's not a mistake. Those of us, all of us, have been destroyed by the relentless inflation purposely created by the Federal Reserve and their fellow central banker puppets of the deep state. While the lords of finance, the banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Lazards, Pincus's, Warburg, Seifs, Loebs, Pesors, very top of the pyramid. Yeah. Well, they've reaped billions in ill-gotten riches. Quinn concludes, "The United States is nothing more than a sophisticated, technological, looting, and might I add laundering, money operation at this point. As we await the great taking," that's when they take what you got left. Remember that villain, that Bond villain, or whatever you want to call him, Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum? You will have nothing and be happy. No. That's what they go by. Yeah, recently had their little powwow, their little shindig. Their death and destruction in Davos meeting that they have every January. As we await the great taking to be initiated and finalized by the oligarchs as their final solution. Folks, do not rely on anyone in government, anyone on Wall Street to stop this looting, money laundering operation that is adversely affecting you and your family and your future. You need to protect yourself. And you better do it quick if you haven't. As we have pointed out on our platform, whether it's Adriana Reed, Ed Steer, Bill Holter, Trader Steph, Craig Hemke, Rob Kirby for years, God rest his soul, the single most effective insurance policy for your financial freedom when times are in trouble financially, for thousands of years, stood the time, are physical gold and physical silver. Not paper anything. Just ask the people in the Weimar Republic in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. Ask them how their paper Deutschmarks did. Or currently ask people in Venezuela or Argentina when their economies went belly up, how their paper currencies did. Yeah. Paper is vapor. Because paper assets have something called counterparty risk associated with them. Debt. And hard assets, commodities, physical precious metals, do not. Yes, you need to protect yourself on many fronts. You need to protect your mind by not watching the boob tube or reading the globalist periodicals, and there all are. Frankly, everybody in syndicated radio is, at a minimum, controlled opposition. That's how you get to be on syndicated radio. You got to be part of the team, at least to some degree. Team being team globalist. Everybody on the boob tube owned. You got to protect your mind. You need to get your information from the independent media. That'll protect you. You need to protect your financial well-being, insurance, physical gold, physical silver. You need to protect when supply chains are hindered, that you have storable food and storable water. Best way, most honest company I know is Numana, NUMANNA.com. You need to be able to protect yourself. Read that into what I said. And you need to network information to your community, to your neighbors, so that when, not if, when it hits the fan, people in your area have already come together and say, well, I bring my technical expertise in fixing things to the table. Good. I bring my background in medicine to the table so I can handle medical issues. I bring my experience in whatever it might to the table. Having those discussions ahead of time cannot hurt you or anybody, but it can protect you. Finally, I uploaded a video on our homepage today in the Operation Freedom Briefing section near the homepage on the right-hand side. It's free, and it's there for you. It's about speaking truth to power. Watch it. It's based on a radio segment I recently did. We recently had a national championship here come to the Ann Arbor area through our football team, Team 144, and Coach Harbaugh. And it was more than football that was on the line. It was about speaking truth to power, truth to the money interests that we just had this video about. You need to watch it. I was contacted by so many people when I did the radio segment on the truth to power issue and the national championship that folks asked me to put it in a video. Well, it's contained in that video, and it's on our homepage, right in the upper toward the top right-hand side. I'll try to put a link in the pinned comment on this video. Please listen to it. It got a little heated, but that I do on the radio. You need to listen to it. And then I hope you'll pass it on to others, because they need to hear it too. Speaking truth to power should be our goal in 2024. Because when you do, you move mountains. You do. You win championships. Yeah. I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Stop on by. You will not be disappointed, but you will be educated and empowered. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.